Whenever you're ready, Michele.
Yeah, we're just inviting. Thank you for attending. We are now going to wait for 1 or 2 minutes stop to give time to everyone to join.
Okay, should we go ahead and get started? Hi, everyone. Welcome to Logitech's Talk Techie to Me. I am Jill Karp, the Enterprise Marketing Manager here at Logitech, and I'm going to go through the agenda as well as one housekeeping item, and then I'll kick it over to Michele. So for today's event, we're going to be discussing managing the whole infrastructure with Sync and Tune. And our Logitech Solutions Engineer presenter will be Jay. And we're also going to have some of our team members on to help with technical Q&A. So please put your questions in the question area. And then we're going to have an open forum where you can ask questions live as well. And then a few more items from me at the end, and that will be it. But before I pass it over to Michele, I wanted to do one quick thing. For a chance to win a Brio, we need to have your full name in the Zoom. So in order to do this, go to the top of your screen, hover over your video and hit select. And then from the menu, choose rename and enter your first and last name. So hopefully everyone can do that right now, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a Brio. Now I'm going to kick it over to Michele to introduce Jay and officially kick off the event.
Thank you very much. Michele Perini, probably we already met a few times during different events that we host internally. And for Talk Techie to Me, I've been part of for the last few years. Jay will be our engineer today, helping in understanding the management tool on the personal workspace, but also on the corporate space for video communication. One thing that Jill highlighted was about to don't be shy, to there is a chat, please. If you change your name to the real name, is for to win a Brio, but also to be sure that we are answering a good question. The chat is open and don't be shy. There is a multiple engineer available for any technical question. Possibly related to today, but even if you have a question not related to today's topic, just feel free. Jay, up to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Michele. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, who's ever going to be watching this recording later on. We're definitely talking about our management tool called Sync. I'll also touch base on our personal workspace device also, which is Logitune, and how your customers and partners can actually manage all their devices with Sync in a single pane of glass. The great thing about this is that we do offer Sync for free. I'll talk more about on how Sync is also a complement on other management tools that you folks have already utilized in the past or are currently using today. So, and again, as Michele has mentioned, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I definitely want to keep it as an open forum, not just me talking for a few minutes here. So from our standpoint, the great thing about this is that Sync is complementary, right? So we do have great partnerships with Microsoft and Zoom, and all of our devices that is there from a Teams admin center or Zoom device management is also manageable to those venues. So you can also see those devices especially from our CollabOS that you can actually manage through Teams Admin Center or Zoom device management from those portals. The great thing about where we play really well with Sync is that sometimes some of those management tools might not be able to access certain device settings that is native to our devices or our CollabOS, right? You might be able to manage your teams on Windows from a TAC perspective, but when it comes to, let's say, a Teams on Android, you might not be able to change any settings, maybe changing our device from a group framing to speaker tracking directly from the Teams Admin Center or ZDM, Zoom Device Management. That's where Sync comes into play to manage all of our devices holistically. It doesn't matter if that device is running Zoom or Teams or other platforms that we do support natively within CollabOS. The great thing about that, also within my years here in Logitech, we made great improvements on how we manage all of our devices across the board, right? So as you look at our portfolio, everything else has a great pain point that it's trying to solve for, whether it's our Switch, our Scribe, our new device that's coming out, which is the Sight, and as well as our B2B products like our MX keys and combos. How do IT admins can manage those in a single pane of glass? So we actually incorporated also being able to manage those devices, especially those USB peripherals, through Logitune, and actually Logitune is being part of the Sync tenant today. And I'll actually do a live demo on how you can actually deploy this throughout your organization. And extending that to the home office gives your IT admins a lot of flexibility, right? So gone are the days where if Michele needed me to upgrade or help him upgrade his Brio, most of the time I would have to either remote into their compute. Right now, I can actually just onboard all those devices within Sync, and I can actually push firmware updates to those products. Currently today, obviously from a B2B products, whether it's our webcams or headsets, currently they're just firmware updates today. We are evaluating what we can add or incorporate from a device setting standpoint. But from a video collaboration standpoint, all those settings that you can change are available to our customers at no cost. And you can actually see from that Logitune software that it's connected to your Sync portal. And I'll walk you folks through on how that is actually deployed live here. And when it comes to management, right? So this is a great slide that I would just, kind of stay on for a little bit here. I used to manage 300 video endpoints for a medical firm here in Seattle. And it was hard enough to sometimes, if that device actually loses its IP address, trying to find out if there's a admin that's sitting outside that room, and just certain things of if I need to have somebody walk into that room, do a physical reboot. All of these devices that you see here that we offer currently today are manageable through Sync, whether it's the Scribe, the Rally Bar Mini, our newer products that's coming out here in our portfolio, are managed in a single pane of glass. This is actually a great solution for any IT admins that are managing their devices. If you folks are already using Teams Admin Center or ZDM, again, as I always talk to all of my customers that I talk to, Sync is a great complementary to that. And you can actually see everything that you have within your organization once you deploy that into Sync. And from our perspective, Logitech is always going to put security top of mind, right? So we're always going to make sure that not only from our operating standpoint, the operating system that runs on CollabOS is secured, but also that management that we're providing at no cost to you as a customer. I like how Michele put this as a freemium product. It is a free tool that you can sign up right now. I've heard customers talk about, by the way, I have 5 rooms, 10, 100 rooms. All of those devices can be managed through Sync. Today, if you bought it yesterday, 6 months ago, you can just sign up for a Sync tenant and manage those devices. As you can see, as we expand our portfolio within Logitech, all of those devices, whether there are traditional USB peripherals like the Rally systems, the meetups, or even the ones that are running its own operating system, the Collab OS, are managed through Sync. We also have other devices that can be monitored, even if it's a third-party device that is not from us. You can also see that from the Sync platform as well. So when you're thinking about, let's say, you're putting a third-party DSP like the P300 on the roommate, that is also visible within the Sync management platform as well. And currently, we're adding more devices to the support for the Logi Tune. Obviously, as you can see, these are all our flagship items when it comes to the B2B products, our wireless mice, headsets, and webcams, and more to come in the future. Within the Sync app itself, there's multiple ways that you can actually deploy the Sync agent, right? So this is just showing you the portal, what you would sign up. And from our device that it's running that Collab OS, you can actually deploy that using that Sync agent that's living within Collab OS itself. There's multiple ways that I'll actually demo live, and you can either sign in from that device or use a provisioning code directly from that device that you get from the Sync portal. The great thing about that, always send your feedbacks to your account managers or your SCs of your contact. We're always listening in how we can improve Sync in its entirety. And again, this is a management tool that you guys are going to be using from a day-to-day as an IT admin. There's another way also for those USB peripherals to be managed through Sync, right? If you're installing the actual Sync application, you can also sign in from that application directly, and you can actually see once that device is signed in, you're connected to your Sync tenant directly there. And when that's connected, you can actually see the inventory of that room and any issues that might occur. Let's say if the device is offline, that is something that you would be able to preview within that Sync portal. Right. Any questions so far, Michele, on the chat?
So yes, you answered the question. The first question that we saw was about the cost. You highlight that it's a freemium, so we have a provisioning, software update, and management monitoring that is included, and we have no plan to make it pricey or add any price on top of that. As our colleague already answered, there is a few services like Inside, our analytics, or alerting that will be will activate the ServiceNow integration and the sending the alert email to a specific user that need an additional license that are included in Sync Plus or in Select. So we suggest Select because it's much more comprehensive in terms of support on your hardware and give you so much more, not only on the website, but also in extending the lifespan of your device. That has been a big one. Then I see many of our colleagues that are on top of every question. Now you can keep going. We are good on the Q&A at the moment.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll touch base on those three items that Michele talked about, right? On how that can also be procured through our Select service plan or our Sync Plus. Right now, I'm just sharing my screen, showing you folks our Sync demo tenant that we currently utilize within Logitech itself. So again, when you're thinking about your actual deployment within your organization, obviously there's a lot of stages through that, right? Where you got to think about the pre-deployment on how those rooms are going to be named. Obviously, you want to make sure you got the right resource accounts, the right licenses for that ecosystem for said resource account. And then when you're looking into managing it, how is that going to be centralized within that ecosystem itself? As I mentioned, there's already those two devices or two platforms, ZDM and TAC, And also, we also have a Google admin portal where they can update our firmware, but certain settings might not be able to be set or being able to be, used in those portals. That's where sync comes into as a complementary use case for a lot of your IT admins. Once all that is deployed, when you're thinking about the pre-deployment, is that you name your rooms, you create a sync tenant, obviously with your organization email. And the great thing about this is that obviously right here we already have created some groups. You can name it as you wish. Definitely you can get granular to your approach on how you want to deploy your rooms. And this is just gives you a quick snapshot of what rooms or what devices are online and how many devices you can actually manage throughout the gate. So I can actually see right now we have 28% of our rooms that are online. But this is great for me from a great snapshot perspective as an IT admin. I can actually look and see that, hey, we have a few rally bars that are online. If I click on that and I'm not just going by a room, I can actually look and see if there's any firmware updates that Logitech has pushed out. And if I want to push out any setting to say a room or throughout my whole organization, I can do so right here using Netscape. Actually, Netscape's not around, but any browser that you want to utilize that's very usable currently today. So as you can see, I can actually put this on speaker tracking, hit apply. That's going to apply it to all 63 rally bars within my organization, within my sync tenant. I can also see if there's any updates that I can also push out. Always keep in mind, we don't push out firmware updates automatically, right? So it's always going to be that IT admin that is always going to be pushing out those firmwares throughout their organization. Obviously, you want to time that when no one's around the office, maybe 2 a.m. or sometime early in the afternoon. But that's always going to be available for you folks to utilize. So right here, this is where the rubber meets the road, is when you click under the inventory, and I'm just going to use my room here as a great example. I can see how many devices that's there, either within that root of my organization or the rooms that I selected within sync. I can also create more rooms if I need, if I want to. And I can actually add more different devices directly from this portal. So if let's say you want to create just one room, that is a great option that you can utilize right there. It does give you an option to create that seat count. And again, that seat count correlates, if you do have some analytics, how often that room is being utilized, underutilized, or just being utilized to that seat count. One thing that I noticed over here, Michaela, we actually created a new option to create a bunch of rooms. So this is great for that multi, deployment or bulk deployment from a end user's perspective. So if let's say I want to create a room that's named after all of our mountains here in Washington State, I can just do so. And let's say I want to put this as a, 25. I'm just going to create these 3 rooms. And once I hit create, it's going to take a while within sync, a few seconds. And then once I hit refresh, that's going to show up within my actual sync tenant itself. Once that's there, it's actually even going to give me a provisioning code that I can copy. And again, when you folks, obviously you have, talked to a lot of my other SE colleagues, if you do have turned on our local network access, which is, yes, a direct IP connection to that device, you can do so either using that device itself or using that web browser. And I can connect that to sync and paste that provisioning code directly to that. And if I say, by the way, this room, sits around 8, now that device is going to be provisioned directly to sync. So that ease of use of that deployment is always top of mind. So similar to how you have certain provisioning codes, whether it's through Zoom or Teams Admin Center, that is similar to deploying that directly to sync. Now I can actually see my rally bar that is online. There might be an update that's there. Oh, there's a public problem that's been detected. I can actually fix that later on. There's a lot of things that I can actually see from this standpoint now, right? What is the firmware that my device is on? Is there any firmware updates that Logitech has pushed out? And one thing I also wanted to highlight is when you sign up for our sync management portal, not only you're exposed to all of our GA firmware, you're also able to put any devices within our beta software as well. So this is great for a lot of organizations that wants to put maybe a couple of devices within that beta software and roll that out in production afterwards. So that is free at no charge. One thing that we also have added within Sync, as I mentioned earlier, is being able to manage our personal devices. So a lot of our customers that we've been hearing currently today, right? You might be going into that motion of, by the way, we're gonna do 3 days into the office, 2 days at home. How do I manage those devices that a lot of my work from home employees are going to be using, right? They're going to be working from home using a Brio, the Logidock that I'm currently using right now. Currently, as I mentioned right here, those are firmware updates. And moving forward, we're definitely evaluating on what we can add within Sync itself. So I can actually click on, there's 2 Brios that are currently online, and I can publish those firmwares directly to that Brio. So without any remote device that I have to remote into someone's compute, I can do so directly through Sync Management Portal. Now, how do we actually do a bulk deployment within Sync? As you can see right here on the left pane, there's that system icon. You click on that. And this is mainly for a lot of those devices that are using our device as a USB peripheral, right? So whether it's a Rally system or a Rally bar that is maybe connected to a Teams on Windows or a Zoom Room compute, you can actually download that Sync app directly here. That is connected to your tenant directly, right? So once that's installed, you can distribute that through any means, let's say SCCM, download that application. You also have an option to download the LogiTune as well. So that also correlates to any of your B2B products that you're using for your work from home employees, and you can roll that out directly from there. And if you have any questions, the great thing I always loved about what we added on Sync is having all these tutorials on hand, right? When you're thinking about firewall rules, what has had to be opened up, maybe it's a port 443 or 80, those are there at your fingertips to find out and how to even deploy those agents across your organization. The alerts system, obviously, as what Michaeli has mentioned, and let me backtrack there real quick. The 3 items that we offer when it comes to more of a subscription based, which is the insights and analytics. The second one would be the email alerts and the ServiceNow integration. Everything else that I have showcased here on Sync is free at no charge. So for a lot of our customers that just wants to see, by the way, how often is the room being utilized? That is something that they can take part on if they actually get our select service plan or the Sync Plus subscription. And again, this is a per room license, right? We're not charging you folks more, and we deemed that is a per room cost, which is much more cheaper out there, especially when you're managing a lot of devices. And if you do have a Sync Plus or Select service, I can actually now and see how often that room is utilized or underutilized, depending on what is the seat count I assigned it for. So I can actually download even a CSV file if I choose to. So I can see that this room was set for 6 seats. Looks like there was a meeting here, and there's 3 people that 3 individuals that joined that meeting. The other 2 items is also the alerts. This actually helps a lot of IT admins being more proactive when it comes to their day-to-day management, right? A lot of IT admins are managing other devices, and they might not have the time to just check on their room. They can actually get an email alert and say, by the way, that my pod got disconnected. It will also, with the ServiceNow integration, create a ticket for their ServiceNow ticketing system and auto close that. So those are the only 3 items within that subscription. We also do offer a multi-tenancy within Sync. So this is a great way. So let's say you're a large partner of ours and you want to manage different Sync portals for a lot of customer A, customer B, customer C. That customer then would have to invite you within their Sync tenant. They can also assign a role on your behalf, right? So once you're invited within their tenant, they can assign you either as a Sync admin portal, owner, a third party, installer. And then if you see right here on my bottom left within that avatar, I can switch over to that tenant and then manage those devices directly. So it gives a lot of our customers and our partners a lot of flexibility when it comes to that management itself. And if I want to add more, if I'm an owner of that actual tenant, I can invite that individual or that partner to manage on my behalf and set that role accordingly within here. I will pause there for any questions, Michaela.
I will call also a few of our colleagues that they are following on the Q&A. I think that we are quite good on the Q&A. Josh, call you out. Is there any peculiar, interesting question that you got?
Well, we did get an interesting question about from Brendan asking about facial recognition to determine how many are in attendance. So maybe just talking about how our AI viewfinder camera works with insights.
That's correct. So with that AI viewfinder that you folks have seen within the Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini, and when you do have those analytics and insights, that's what's taking that actual, how many individuals are joining that space, right? So in this case, since there is a Rally Bar inside this room, and if, again, it correlates to what you set that room for that seating capacity. And even with the emo alerts, you can also set it for, let's say, over that capacity limit to send you an alert. So within that AI viewfinder, it takes pretty much a good snapshot of, by the way, this room was in use for 28 minutes. Looks like there was 3 individuals that did come in. Maybe, one of them left in the middle of the meeting, and that's where you get that correlation of how many people are there within that insights and analytics. As you can see right here, I believe this was also, there you go. There's the occupancy limit that was reached or violated. So, back in the day where, rooms were being able to occupy 20 individuals, they must have cut it in half. And you can also set that limitation, right? And again, if I change this seating capacity to a higher threshold or a lower threshold, that would correlate accordingly to that data that is being gathered within our devices.
There is another thing that I like to highlight. We don't do facial recognition. We identify there is a human body, human person in the room, but we don't correlate, let's say, we don't correlate names or to the person. We just count the people in the room.
Yeah, the other thing I might call out is that there's 3 different options when you're looking at what type of room occupancy. So off, always on, or only in a meeting. So we do have the ability to count people even when not in a meeting that would be reflected there, but you have the option to set that in the room occupancy settings.
That is perfect because customer may want to have analytics on the room usage, not only video conference. It's important to understand that the space that for video conference that is used not for video conference but just for standard meetings, and how many meetings and how many people in that room can give the stakeholder enough information to optimize the usage of their spaces for meeting spaces, generic. That will be also more interesting with the new product, the Rally Barador. Rally Barador, when you set off or only when in the call, the camera will have the privacy shutter on. So that will be, you will see that probably setting if you want to count people only during the call, you will see the privacy shutter opening only at that time. Any other interesting question?
Good question.
You still have 15 minutes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So please be wild and informal. I usually like the informal approach.
We have several questions about Google Meet appliance mode in the chat. Kevin called out that we're going to be announcing some things at the Google Next conference that's coming up. So stay tuned there. I think you'll be pleased to hear some of the updates coming out of the Google side of the house. But let me see.
This one is also interesting because Google is taking traction, and because we say you stay tuned, you already know the answer. And when we talk about appliance, yeah, you can control everything that Jay showed you from Sync in the cloud. That you can do that with Google. Again, but stay tuned in the next 48 hours, if I don't mistake, 24 hours, when Google Next will start.
We have another interesting question in the chat, and it's really a statement, not a question, but I think there's a question in there somewhere. Bulk updates are not available for computer firmware updates. So I think they're asking, can you update in bulk devices like Meetup and Rally Plus that are connected to computers as opposed to the appliances?
That's actually a good question.
No, the bulk. 1 second. The bulk update should update everything Logitech. We don't touch anything Lenovo or Intel. Is that the question? When we send the update, it's just on Logitech. We don't touch anything else.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not gonna do any kind of bulk updates for Windows or the MTR app, for example.
Nope.
But what you can do is update multiple Rally systems. So let's say you have 20 Windows-based Teams rooms. They all have a Rally Plus or a Meetup connected to them. There are ways to update in bulk by device type. So I'm looking at the same thing Jay's looking at here. So you can see 6 Rally systems that can be updated right now. And then 8 devices that would be scheduled for later because they're offline. So you can on the Logitech for the Logitech devices.
You definitely can. That is definitely a good point, right? So to Michele's point, we're not going to update the Teams on Windows or Zoom because that's their management tool that they would do that. But from our devices standpoint that are USB peripherals, you can do so.
I will take this one offline, by the way, because I know Tyler. Tyler, I will reach out to you and we will have a more deep conversation. I know what they are doing. And again, there is a thing that we can do. For example, we can push the update for Sync as our application, but there is, again, what we provide is update on our devices. Tyler, I will reach out to you. And if anyone else has this kind of needs, please just reach out, even a private message with any one of the C engineering that answering your question, or to Jay or myself. Or even better, there is a survey. Sorry, Jill, I said that too early probably. But you can add your comment over there.
Definitely. And I think there's a last question. When is the switch going to be visible on MTROA devices? That is something that we're working on, Eduardo. Currently today, obviously from a switch standpoint, that is only visible when that switch is connected to a compute, whether that's a Teams on Windows or Zoom Room compute. We are definitely working. Our sync team is very adamant on bringing that into the fold. So definitely stay tuned for that.
We have another really good question from Richard. So he says, we have a new office with a number of Rally Bar huddles. Do we need to touch them all manually and upload to sync? We have their MAC addresses.
Right now, yeah, we are, let's say, we are working on something that will automate the onboarding. If you know, we already announced the Flex, Logidoc Flex, that is for hot desking, and we are, let's say, working on something that will simplify the mass onboarding of the devices. You need to stay tuned, but today you need to enter the code on sync. You can do that so couple of things with the new firmware that is coming in, I think in a couple of weeks or less. On Rally Barado, you have the local network access active by default. That means, again, it's not automatic, but at least you don't need to get in every room. You can reach out, connect remotely to any device and bring on board and finish the setup, modify the configuration and connect it to sync directly using the web interface. That is something that in the next version from 1.10, if I don't mistake, the web interface will be active by default when you out of the box. You always disable. If it's disabled today in your system, will not be automatically activated, will be only active out of the box, or if you factory reset the system.
Yeah, Michele makes a really good point, which and Jay was showing it there. Local network access could be used to remotely provision devices that you have the IP address for and that temp login to our sync portal. So I always tell my customers, if you do one of two things upon the first time setup, like in the room, you can do the rest remotely. So either A, enable local network access and note the IP address and the temp password, or B, connect it to sync portal with a provisioning code that you already have. We kind of talked about how you can create empty rooms and get that provisioning code and then just tie multiple devices using that same code. So you can potentially provision these devices remotely to the sync portal.
Good questions. I'm coming.
Perfect. You can see the code over there. We still have 7 minutes to go, 6 minutes, 7 minutes to go. Any other question, or we can give the control back to Jill?
Yeah, we still have questions coming in through the chat. So since we have time, if you guys want to
Please.
Look at this. So, so one of the things that was called out, it's not really a question, but using the bulk device reboot. So that was added to Sync and Sync Portal. That didn't exist when Sync Portal first came out. You couldn't reboot bulk devices, right? So right now we could reboot all 64 of our Rally bars. So they're saying that that's really helped in kind of curbing any kind of audio issues or any kind of just issues that may pop up in leaving these devices on for extended periods of time. Someone else asked, can you create rooms and add devices from a spreadsheet to sync?
So like uploading a CSV file. Is that available today, Caleb? I think you still
I
have
know
to do it
that
manually.
product management are looking into that again. No, not today, as far as I know.
Yeah, not today, but basically that same CSV format you can use to create, say, 100 rooms, just names of rooms, seat count, comma, and you just move on to the next one. So there are ways to do this. We just don't have the ability to upload like a spreadsheet file to do that.
But that's where I showcase where if you want to create those multiple rooms, you can do it from here. You do put that seat count as well. So
just reading through the questions here. some of these questions are about Google Meet. We did get a question just about, oh yeah, so that's exactly how you do it. So name of the room, comma, seat count, and then makes it pretty easy, again, to create, say, 50 or 100 different rooms. And then, what the advice that I always have is then you create the spreadsheet using the provisioning code. So you can just copy and paste them from each of the rooms, and then pass that spreadsheet off to whoever's going to be installing them. When they get to the point in the first time setup to connect to sync, they already have that provisioning code for that room. Jill, we did have some questions about accessing the recording after the call.
Yeah.
Is that something you'll send in? Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. Potentially, we'll be sending the presentation after, along with the survey. I'll get into that here in a few as well. But we're trying to look into that. And then I think another question was around, do we have all the rest of the recordings? At this point, it's not on a landing page, but kind of a good idea. So let me investigate that as well.
Perfect, thanks. Jay, did you have anything else that you want to wrap up with?
Just talk about
that's all the questions.
Yeah, feel free to just
yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it.
So as I mentioned, right, everything else in Sync is free. Those insights and analytics and email alerts and ServiceNow integration can be as a subscription using our Select service. And as Michaela alluded to earlier, I always lead with Select because it's a peace of mind for a lot of our customers. You do get your Select portal where you actually put those licenses for those rooms, and Select is per room, right? And the great thing about this, I've seen customers, whether they're here in North America or in Canada, they like that Select, that they can purchase at any time. You might have 20 rooms, and you might have 2 rooms that are high visibility to execs, or that is really used from a day-to-day. And you need to have, rather than an 8 to 5 service that we offer with all of our devices, you get that 24/7 support. And you also get those 3 items that I mentioned, the insights, the email alerts, and ServiceNow integration with the Select service plan. And you can purchase this anytime. I've seen customers, roll out 50 rooms. They get Select for a certain amount of rooms. And if you do add more devices within that room, that is also covered with Select. That is a great thing where I have a rally bar inside my room. I might have a tap IP. All of a sudden, I added a scribe because currently, hey, by the way, Microsoft is going to support the content camera on Android. I also added a tap scheduler outside with that room. That is all covered by that Select service plan as well. By no means, you can also utilize the Sync Plus. That Sync Plus is definitely just those 3 items to uplift that free service that we provide within Sync. So.
Last 2 minutes, we need to give back to Jill.
Yep, it's back to me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share. Perfect, thanks. So awesome job, Jay, Michaela, and Josh, and the rest of the team. Thanks, everybody, and thanks to all of our participants. We really appreciate your engagement in the chat and all of the questions. Let's keep it going. We always are looking to improve our sessions and our topics. So I'm going to be sending out a follow-up email. And if you could take a few minutes to complete our survey, we would really appreciate it, and apply any of your suggestions to upcoming events. It would be great to hear from you. And then I also wanted to talk about our upcoming events. What do we have next? So not sure if you're all aware, but we have our Talk Techie to Me's the last Tuesday of every month through November. So our next one's going to be Tuesday, September 26th, Peace of Mind Support with Select. Then our October 31st, super fun Halloween theme event will be our key innovations in your room. So we'll be focusing on our room solutions. And then November 28th, key innovations at our desk. So all of our personal workspace solutions. We're going to take a break in December and then look to creating a new series in January. I also wanted to highlight that we have site live demos. So I know Carlos, I don't know if he's still on the line, but he just asked about our site Talk Techie to Me, which was back in June. But we are doing weekly live site demos every Wednesday. Actually our next one's tomorrow. And it's through mid-September if you can't make tomorrow, but it's at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. And I'm hoping Divya, one of our coworkers, put it into the chat, the link to register. So if not, though, please be on the lookout in your emails to sign up for those events. That is it for me. I'm going to pass it back to Michele to close this out.
Okay, so thank you very much to everyone that took the time today to be with us. And again, beautiful time, beautiful question. I'm very, very happy, to be honest, for all the questions that we got today. Jay, you are incredible. You did a fantastic presentation. Josh and Kevin, I'm bringing every one of you in the spotlight because you did a fantastic job in answering all the questions around. Hope that I don't forget anyone around. Again, to everyone, you have any question, just send a note to us. You know who we are. There is a survey. Add everything that you need, that you want to see. Be very candid in the survey. That is extremely important for us to perform better, to help us to do better. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
everyone.
now.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.